should
Good
be
morning,
live now,
Vietnam.
guys. Give me 1 second. I'm just going to verify we are completely live. And then we're going to send
Good
out some
morning,
links.
Vietnam.
As you can see, we got a whole bunch of people joined here today. So I'm not even going to bother, announcing it because we got like a whole squad up in here right now. Though I will ask if you guys want to send this out. And post it on Reddit and such. That'd be pretty cool. I'm going to real quickly put one in chat for people, and then we will get the show underway. One moment.
I'm calling a big thing. I'm thinking that Dante is going to go down more than McGillen's going to go down.
Alright, there we go. So give people a second here to join, and then we will get right down to it, guys. Obviously, pretty anticipated progs here. We can take a look here and see, as you know right now, the 70s Club. Mike Scott going to a new team, Snohomish. Light 2 has actually been better than Light, still carrying LAD, and they had a pretty solid offseason. Of course, you got Alex Moore and EJ Peterson. Honestly, Peterson kind of disappointing, and Moore not really making the impact he was expected in Singapore. Stokes has been struggling a little bit in Detroit, but him and Peterson are still one of the best duos in the league. McDowell has always been the worst of the two guards in Minnesota, but frankly, they're a perfect fit together, and no concerns there, even if he does drop. Axel Blaze has started to show significant age, and he's no longer the star he used to be, but he's still a top 15 player. Dante Robinson, everyone finally expecting him maybe to take his game to a next level. People have doubts now. At 22, he's been in the league for a while, and he's been good, but not great. Quite consistently here, so we'll see if he can take the next step up. Kyler O'Grady and Brandon Guillen both had monster years last year, and I expect them to keep trending up. Umberto's become a fan favorite in carrying Rio de Janeiro. Rex Padden is probably one of the best players in Charlotte history, and one of the most exciting guards. And of course, he has his teammate Gordon Hayward, that's borderline MVP candidate. McDowell's teammate Howell, one of the best guards in the league. Jordan Rudolph, one of the most exciting big men probably, and the guy I think could be next year's MVP. We'll see on that. Hawkins, who's been getting better with age. B.B. Kinney, who in my opinion always plays below his overall, but hey, he got Cincy a ring. And of course, David McGillen. We'll see what goes on there. So with that, guys, we are going to go right into it here. I'm just going to verify that the stream is good to go. And of course, I am just now realizing I have to plug my laptop in. So I'm going to casually pull this up on the power ranking screen, and one of my co-commentators is going to explain something great while I go plug this in. Goose, you're up.
Alright. I got Reggie a snack today.
Alright.
I don't think he liked it.
There we go, guys. So sorry about that. I'm sure none of you wanted to see or hear whatever came out of Goose's mouth. I certainly didn't. Let's get the show under road. Alright.
That hurts.
Tools. We go to multi-team mode. Select all. Boom. Boom. Alright. Let's see. OKC did just move, so we'll start at W, honor them, and we'll go from there. Looking at Washington here. Wally Craig goes up. He's kind of become a really big thing for this team. Morgan goes up and Brondum goes up, but I don't know. I think I kind of expected a bigger leap from Brondum. We'll see if he can contribute this year. Josh Howard is aged, but he is still a big part of that team. They got really good prog from Robert Robertson. And
looks like they picked well with that pick.
They're
injured.
Suddenly really deep at point guard here. Look for Spud Webb to be traded this year, as he could be a starter on a lot of teams. And in terms of prospects here, I think you gotta like these progs. Overall, I'd give Washington a pretty solid progs. 61 team rating. They're in a pretty good spot, probably a borderline playoff team. Next up here, we got Virginia.
Oh.
Anthony Burner with a pretty big prog, and now is going to be the best player on a, let's be honest, an utter trash team. At least they got some guys with potential, right? Kuzin, I feel like, has started a bunch of games in his career. He has. He's started games for some horrible Atlanta teams. Now he'll start games for a horrible Virginia team. There's not much to say about this team other than at least we'll get to see what peak Brunner can do.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say that could be exciting. He looks like he's just a jack of all trades. So yeah, I'd say they got meh progs, but they're a trash team anyway. So next up here is Vancouver. Purvis Short, Tyler Lloyd, all their starters really going up. Gino has a lot of cap space too, most in the league behind Miami. Honestly, it's a team that has a lot of potential to be very quality and deep. We'll see what goes on there. These are good progs. They're definitely not bad. Next up is Utah. So Spider going up big time. Didi is a big fan of his.
Told you.
Oli could be potentially in the race for Rookie of the Year with that good prog. Ritter is a pleasant surprise for them, and suddenly they actually have a really solid backcourt. Jarvis is going to be useful.
His ratings?
90 DIQ and 73
and
speed.
Volume shooter.
Yeah. We'll
and
see.
He's a guard, so he can smack the ball out of the air.
Yeah.
Easily.
Honestly, this might be the best spot the team's been for a while. They got really trash progs from all of their other young guys, but if I'm them, I roll Kamen up over Bird. I go small ball kind of, I think you gotta spend another season. He wasn't great last year, 15 for 3. But with 3 steals, I think you kind of ride Spider here and see if maybe he can develop into a star, and we'll see. So next up, Tokyo. Jordan Smith and Yeager both go down. Keep in mind, though, adding Yeager to a good team was probably a winning move, but a lot of their core role players all going down here. Gibbs goes up. He had a big playoffs for them, and I like Cameron Houston's progs. He is now become a sizable threat for them. Mutombo progging good as well, gives them another big man. This is going to be a solid and fun team. We'll see if they can go anywhere. While it's not ideal when you're contending, they got progs from young guys that are going to help make this team really good in a couple years. But we'll see if they can keep their core together, because their championship window, you don't want to say it's closed, but you look at their big guys here, right? They're mostly an aging core. They do got Weir's contract coming off the books at the end of the season, so we'll see what goes on there. Taking a look at Tijuana, one of the contenders, they have Joe Caron, obviously, going to re-sign with them.
Wow, that Nico. Wow. -10.
Wow. Losing 10 potential is rough. That's actually like a sizable hit. Tatuli also...
Justin Davis made up for it, though.
Yeah, Justin Davis looks like he could be a future star, but the issue is with this team's contention window. Factoring in Joe Caron and such, realistically, they have a 2 to 3 year window at max. Even though he had great progs, Justin Davis isn't going to be ready in 3 years. So, we'll see.
I honestly have a feeling they won't make the playoffs. It's just my personal opinion.
No, I think they'll make the playoffs because they got Joe Caron coming back, but I don't think this is a team to write home about anymore. Progs were not favorable to them. They lost a lot of good players in the offseason.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Next up here, Tampa Bay. All right.
Oh.
So, Paz is basically a superstar. I have no idea what he's going to be good at here. I guess he's
Wow,
just
everything.
a very well-rounded player. Yeah, I hate to say it with Tampa Bay, but maybe you consider moving him. He is expiring. Tampa Bay was in this position with Gilligy. They didn't really capitalize on it. We'll see what they do here with Boz.
You know, if I were them, I would actually take this one season and run with it. Like, they won't have this player again next year, so why not try and shoot for at least the semifinals?
Yeah, they got contracts they can move. Dana Thomas is the easy one, expiring at the end of the year. And yeah, we'll see what they end up doing here. So next team here is going to be Syracuse. John Lee goes up, but their supporting cast keeps going down.
The 2041 prospects are getting hit hard.
Yeah. Honestly, I like this team a lot more than their overall looks, but the issue that has always plagued this team is, bad veterans. And looking here, Sullivan, Stonkus both going down quick. Hinton, Miller already declining. John Lee's been a huge bust of that contract, and I love Matt Bonner. Matt Bonner's been great for them. I mean, he's probably made himself a legitimate Hall of Famer, which is crazy for a dude that, he didn't make the All-Star team until he's 32. You look at the last few years he's had for them, he's been honestly kind of insane. Yeah, we'll see what goes on with Bonner, but I wouldn't be surprised if they can potentially move him in a deal for another team's expiring guy in a pick. We'll see what goes on with the Bonner series in Syracuse. Meanwhile, we take a look at Snohomish here. They, of course, had brought in Mike Scott. Chris Paul is probably the worst contract in the ABA now.
I gotta say, I'm looking forward to my picks.
Yeah. Manning is coming crashing down. Woodstra, honestly, I don't hate that contract. Tanner Giddings dropped real drastically there. I like Morris as a bench player. I think that's a good move. Prescott, he had pretty good progs, but man, the prog gods smited them pretty hard. They'll probably still do around how good they did last year thanks to the Scott edition, but yeah, this is rough. So next up we go to Singapore. Wow. Talk about a big three getting hit hard. But hey, we have a new potential superstar in D.D. Savage Jr.
He might actually be better than his father.
Yeah. So this team has some really solid veteran role players off the bench here, right? And Connie Hawkins taking a step back. That's super disappointing. He's actually shaping up as a huge bust. But D.D. Savage Jr. here. Maybe you even move Connie Hawkins next year if he doesn't prog up, and you put him with somebody like Mr. Colonel in a package deal, and you go get D.D. Savage, another co-star. They'll obviously want to give D.D. Savage some serious minutes here, and I'd probably say, their starting five right now is probably a playoff starting five, and they're deep. It's just, man, this big three. If you told me Alex Moore, 40, and Jay Kumar were going to be on a team 3 seasons ago, I would say that's a contender. And you tell me this season, and I tell you, are you going to make the playoffs, or what's your situation? And that's kind of crazy.
This team can capitalize on their young talent. If they just harbor on the fact that they're going to have Connie Hawkins and D.D. Savage coming up to step up next season, then they could possibly be a contender next season.
Yeah, they're in a great spot for next season. We'll see what goes on there. They're definitely a team that has like a really solid 2-year window. So next up here is Seattle. Dante does take a big step up. That was needed. They went out, they spent money, they got Hunter. You could argue they have probably the best starting five they've had in the Dante era. They still haven't really replaced Isaiah Thomas, but Hunter is probably the best guard they've had since Isaiah Thomas. And I think he'll be a fine fit here. You know, you look at his stats last season, he was 13-5, but on a team with Rex Patton. You know, he's now going to be his own guy. I think we're looking at a Darren Collinson situation, but we'll see. Dante Robinson, meanwhile, he's a beast. His 78 GIQ this season. I would expect him to be close to 30 points this year. Probably in the outside of the MVP race, but we'll see. And they're probably going to be a playoff team. Maybe a deep one. Next up here is San Diego. Oh, I skipped one. San Diego. Yeah.
I'm going to tell the future and say that Rio de Janeiro has shitty Progs.
We shall see. You'll see here with San Diego, they had really good Progs. So, for one, they might have the brightest future of a front court I've seen recently, with Hughes and Sabonis, each 22 and a 60-plus with 70-plus potential. That's literally perfect for them. Like, they're in a really strong spot there. You got a high PER point guard, athletic shooting guard, solid. I'm not a huge fan of Williams, but behind him they got Sorensen. Honestly, this might be a contending team with these Progs. They got $10 million in cap to go out and get another starter caliber player. Yeah, this could be a contending team. San Diego might look really good this year. Progs made the difference here. Next up, Rio. Oh, wow. Umberto, right. Flora, Mikan, Nicholas, Wardjoff, all down. At least they had some decent Progs on the bench, but wow.
Yeah.
That's rough. All right. Next up here
is... You know what's sad? All those players that progged up weren't originally theirs. They were all from Montreal.
That's unfortunate. Looking at Providence here, they lost Brady Glosson and Kyle Armstrong, two very big players for their team. They got a little bit of cap room to work with. Powell McGill Progs up, which is good for them, but they really don't have much more on their team. Corver continues to stagnate for them after a great rookie year. That's really disappointing. Bo Ellis and Geno Parker might have big roles this season, but frankly, the decline of KG and the loss of Gosselin, I don't know if this team's got in it. Bo Ellis is the X factor for them. He averaged 7 points last season. He's going to probably be playing point guard or shooting guard for them, and I really don't see this going well. But we'll see. I guess Providence doesn't really got another shot. I could see Bo Ellis being an okay shooting guard, but they don't really got another point guard. I mean, Reed Phillips has played the point for several teams, and it's never really gone well. His best year was, 2035 as a point guard. He played in KwaZulu as like a shooting guard hybrid, and he did okay. But they were also one of the worst teams in the league, so I guess you pick your poison.
I think if we had a GM of the Toilet Award, that would have been my team 3 years straight.
Yeah, probably.
I'm kind of being lenient.
All right, so Pittsburgh, with the first few big developments. One, wow. Mike who I want to note was he was literally cap dumped this offseason. Literally cap dumped. Yeah, he's basically cap dumped. And he's now probably one of the most valuable prospects in the league. You got a real Twin
No.
Towers thing going here, Pittsburgh.
The only thing that worries me is he cannot shoot.
Oh, they don't need shooting, man. Look at this. They got Isaac Parks, one of the most physically gifted big men, or one of the most physically talented, and then you got one of the most physically gifted. Their front court is absolutely insane. They have Reggie Lewis. That's pretty funny. Same name as a Celtic. They need to go out and get a great guard, but their front court is set. I mean, you got guys like Terrence Pitts off the bench. I'd look for Carey to be a pretty easy trade candidate for them. Yeah, honestly, even though they got bad progs from a lot of their supporting cast, the progs to the three big men make up for it. Isaac Parks is probably going to have one of the best seasons we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah. He could be the next McGillen.
Yeah, I think he's starting to enter into that convo. We'll see.
Yeah.
Philly watches Jermaine Hawkins die in a blaze of glory. Yeah, this team's going to be in a rough spot this year. They have a solid front court, and their back court has aged horribly. So, yeah. Next up here.
Low-key hurts to look at.
OKC.
Ooh.
Peep my artwork here. It's kind of okay-ish.
No, it's amazing.
Yeah, not really in my book, but Troy Neptune. He could be a star for them. Huang Dong. Do you? I cannot.
Huang Dong.
Yeah. He also had a strong prog along with Fleecer Jr. And their bench all had good prog. This man has just had. One moment. I just want to make sure I'm correct on this. Yeah. At age 27, he looked like a complete bust as a 42-44, having had bad progs most of his career. He has progged up ages 28, 29, 30, and 31 to become a starting caliber player. That's literally legendary.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up here, New York. Jordan Rudolph will not be an MVP candidate this season.
Nope.
Their supporting cast gets killed, but their bench goes up fairly big. LaMelo was probably their biggest addition in the offseason. And he's not what he used to be, but he might be exactly what this team needs to get over the hump. We'll see if it works out. I like the Uma Ball backcourt in theory. Yeah, they also could use a star off their bench. They got some cap room to work with, but they're in a pretty okay spot. But it's a little disappointing on my end seeing Rudolph. New Jersey. They just made it to avoid contracts.
Oh my God.
They'll get some in there though. They don't own their first round pick, I believe. They're in a horrible situation right now.
Oh my goodness. This is depressing.
Next. Montreal.
Ooh.
So, Marc Gasol is...
And JP Lane.
Marc Gasol...
And Harden.
Alex Harden and JP Lane are a pretty insane duo. Marc Gasol... I really like to see it. The Gasol that went to Canada is going to become a superstar. I think everyone wanted to see that. That's pretty wholesome and cool right there.
Yeah. But that is
Oscar
insane.
Schmidt went up. Dude.
That could easily be the biggest non-cap prog I think we've seen.
If you look right here, you got Oscar Schmidt progging up at 16, Marc Gasol at 19 with a massive prog up, and Alex Harden. They have a potential big three.
Children.
Yeah. This team's average age is insanely low. We'll see what goes on. They got some controversial locker room presence caliber players. They also got tons of cap room to work with. So they're in a strong spot here. We'll see what they do. Next up here is Minnesota. Howell stays the same. Maybe he's in the MVP candidate here. We don't know what's happening with McGillen yet. McDowell comes crashing down, and Jones. this team's going to need some tender love and care here, but they'll probably be a contender again, I imagine. They've stayed pretty consistent for a while now. All right, Milwaukee. I think we got one away from the McGillen question. They got some great progs and some negative progs here. So Robert Joseph's potential does get zapped as expected. Adam McGillen goes down. Felt goes up. Some of their young guys go up big time, but they also got some killers. Dweez Burleson basically goes from being their starting point guard to a scrub, maybe even cut. A lot of their prospects are cut-worthy now. Mixed bag. Absolute mixed bag here. Yeah, I guess I take it because Felt is now a great contract, but yeah, kind of crazy.
If I were them, one of the first people I would cut would probably be, Burleson, and then maybe Kim. Because Kim, last season, he did not have a high PER. Oh, I forgot he's watching.
Miami, DJ Williams. I think he was the first overall pick, yeah. He is a jack of all trades who had a huge prog in almost every category. Yeah, he's going to win Rookie of the Year. He's on a team that has no one but him. Like, they have a defensive shooting guard, a passing point guard, another shooting guard.
So many players are going up big time this season.
And they got nothing on their bench here. Though, Kenny Clark is putting in more miles for them, which is pretty cool. Kenny Clark was part of the OG Great Miami squad for a while. So, yeah. All right. Next up here is Mexico City. Melbourne's next, I think. Mason Sparks goes up, but wow, this is actually crazy. Collins and AI go down. Woodson goes up, and it's now recommending that Woodson would start over Kendrick. They also have Adam Gordon. Honestly, I hate to say it. Get Kendrick out of there, man. Like, look at this team, right? Ignoring progs. They're in the weaker East now. They're in a fine spot. AI is a shooting guard. Maybe you could say Collins is a shooting guard as well. They got Woodson and Gordon, both of whom are younger and have more potential than Kendrick. They also got, Wright, who's not too far behind them. The veteran Britt, who's better defensively. Prospect, that's kind of solid. They have way too many point guards, and that's not even counting their two undersized shooting guards.
I'm still mad about Britt.
I'd move. Britt's been a disappointment. But Melbourne, McGillen is under 80 for the first time in a decade. AVA may not have any 80 overalls.
Does this mean he's getting traded to KwaZulu?
The rumors are always there, especially with him hitting free agency at the end of the year. A McGillen trade is possible. They've got Brady Gosselin, who's probably the best teammate he's ever had. But their supporting cast did not prog well at all. And this could be a long season for them, so we'll see what goes on with McGillen. But I think the world will be watching. The last time he was under 80 overall, he put up, let me just check his ratings. His last time he was under 80 overall was at age 22. He's now 34. During his age 22 season, he put up only 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists with 2.5 blocks a game. Yeah, so he could drop off almost 10 points per game in theory. We don't know if he will, but it is possible. So, yeah. All right. Next up there, let's move on from Melbourne. Los Angeles. Wow. That's a sea of red.
What?
They spent money, and it is not going to work out for them. Moving on.
That one that hurts most is Clark. Oh my god.
Dude, even Hicks is bad. Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, Clark. No, you're right. Clark is... Oh, my God. That's a fatality right there. Oh. All right.
To 47. 47. Oh, my God.
London has got a lot of open roster spots and a decent amount of cap. They don't have much of a core. Nick Jordan is just kind of a meh player. Moving on. Vegas. Zion Richardson's rise to prevalence continues, which is pretty cool. But this team still is, pretty garbage, frankly. It's a lot of meh players that probably shouldn't be playing minutes, but it's a young rebuilding team. So
yeah, Bori Ba is Bori meh.
KwaZulu, we see.
Oh my God! Look at Banks.
Yeah, so
that is a good investment.
Lemonhead's career has been saved.
Yeah.
Wait, is this another Lemonhead?
Is it?
Yeah, the rookie.
Yes, it's another Lemonhead because.
Oh my God, that's ugly as hell.
Before he was known
Why
as
is-
Lee.
I
Marvin.
love it.
Fair enough. Looking at this team right here, right?
This is a decent team.
Progs weren't horrible,
For once.
but they weren't great either. Probably on the outside of the playoffs here. I can see them being a buyer or a seller. I don't see them staying complacent, but we'll see what goes on there. I feel like the Vegas bettors are probably betting on Diana Taurasi if she's going to hit 20 points per game again. She is, as she does every single season with KwaZulu. So
That's insane, which is crazy.
Kentucky, Brandon Guillen, MVP
Wow.
candidate. He's
Colorado Grady went down.
one overall below, and
Passing 90?
yeah.
Oh.
He could potentially do it. It's possible. Big drop off from Axel Blaze and O'Grady, and the bench got pretty hard hit.
Yeah.
Especially Walt Chamberlain. Oof.
Alex Smith Jr. decided to switch from football,
Yeah.
and it worked out a little. A little.
Yeah. Progs did not help Kentucky, but Guillen probably will put up stats. Kansas City. Goran Clark. Oh my God, they got him from somebody for really cheap in this off. Oh my God. Never mind. I would say that they won the deal, but Sabonis and Hughes were in that pick. In that.
And
Wait.
Keon.
Oh no. It was dancing Dwight. Yes. Wow. When you think about it, what San Diego gave up, what they got for Alex Moore, this is crazy, right? This is what they got for Alex. I'm just going to pull that trade up. All right.
Oh my gosh.
They trade Alex Moore, right? In exchange, you got Keon Covington, quality starter, right? Goran Clark, you just saw him have a god prog. Gogan, he's a serviceable role player. Sabonis and Hughes look like they're the future of a contending franchise. Oh, and there's still 2 first-round picks that haven't been accounted for.
Oh, and their own second.
What is Alex Moore's overall, you ask now?
Crap.
69.
68.
You're
Yeah.
one off, TD.
I would say San Diego might have won that trade. That's kind of crazy. Yeah. Meanwhile, the rest of Casey's Progs were pretty rough. But Goran Clark is going to be a bright future, and they have at least a decent supporting cast now. So, yeah. Houston, they lost. I almost made a meme out of it. They lost Yager, and they replaced Yager with Andrew Aganatoni, Leland Johnson, and
Estes Ball.
Parker Harris. Literally, it was like the most Tampa Bay Rays thing I've ever seen. If you guys aren't baseball fans, the Tampa Bay Rays and a few other teams, they're a small market, right? So they don't got a ton of money. But every so often, they'll get a superstar, and they'll trade the superstar, and they'll get prospects back, right? Or they'll lose the superstar for nothing. And this feels so much like a Tampa Bay Rays or an Oakland Athletics move. They went out and they replaced one of the best big men in the league with a borderline startable small forward at age 30, a borderline starter who had horrible progs this year at age 30, and a career backup who also had horrible progs at age 28 on an arguably bad deal. I mean, I will say I like Leland, but God, he was not the best. This team should go out and get a legitimate big man. Right now, their best rebounder is Ryan Shelton or Alonzo Ball. I mean, I guess Bill Russell, but he's on the bench and 37 years old. So,
Hey, that's good for Denver. I got their first round pick.
actually, if you look at Bill Russell here, he's probably a Hall of Famer, right? But he's actually still kind of effective. So, like, no joke. If they don't add somebody, I would just start Bill Russell. And
If you're Houston,
Yeah.
you're better off jumping off a cliff than trying to go for the playoffs.
Hawaii, Osmu Yakwi, Patrick Johnson, both prog up. Is it a playoff team? TBD. Penetrator at 39 is a 54. He can still score, but God, it's going to be ugly. Oh, this team is so deep.
Their best guy, their best prog was Elias Marv, which is sad.
Yeah. Honestly, this team is so deep. Probably a borderline playoff team. I like a lot of the guys on it. I'm actually a big fan of Patrick Johnson. I want to see what way G-Man uses this team. I imagine he's also going to go sign Scarn in free agency. But we'll see. So next up here, Flint. They had a good season.
King, wow. Ouch. At 24-29.
Yeah, they're not in horrible spots. James King's probably not going to do much for them, but
I know one cut.
Ray Allen's going to go down as a pretty big disappointment, and so is Ron Artest. I mean, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God, that contract. Oh. All right. Detroit. EJ Peterson goes up big time. Stokes becomes kind of a bust on that contract. I don't know if you could call a guy like Stokes a bust, because while he is disappointing, he's still worth a max, right?
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't say quite the max.
Nah, not a max, but he's worth 30 to 35.
Yo,
I mean, he's
I can
worth
see
Detroit's max.
EJ.
I'm fine with Detroit wasting their max.
I can see EJ having a big season this year. And frankly, this is a solid squad. I like Ferguson, I like Lawrence, and I like Alex Jackson. And they're kind of deep. Antonio Williams and Moon are both great off the bench. Eric Jackson's a fine backup young big man. McKnight has proved that he can be a competent enough shooting guard. This could be Detroit's year. I'm just saying. I think it could be. We'll see. Alright, next up here. Denver. Hopkins has continued to ascend to stardom, though he will get a small little nerf here. Got to adjust that. Still went up significantly.
Yeah.
Hopkins is going to continue to be one of the best defensive players in the league. Nando is a great point guard. Gardner's a big pickup. Mackey was a nice addition. I like the Grubb and Higgins moves. Hayden Bounder going up and Starks. This team is in a strong position.
So, two of their caps, they progged down horrendously. Nick Cooper specifically.
Yeah.
Mad Progs could have been better, but I'm not disappointed with them, especially because these caps will get better with upgrades.
Yeah. Dallas.
Ooh.
Strong prog from Lovedale. I'm not going to give him a nickname because every time Dallas gets a nickname, they lose him for nothing. Or they trade to get him back and he sucks. So, yeah. Honestly, pretty meh progs from them. I like to see the young guys they got progging fairly decently. Yeah. This team is pretty meh at the moment. They got some nice prospect progs, I suppose. Alright. Next up is Cleveland, I think, right? Yeah. Alright. Isaiah Thomas, progs up. It's kind of shocking at his age. He's pretty old now.
Yeah.
Arrington, the good prog. I cannot pronounce that name. Trasaloni. As I try. Maybe Jaden Patty will play in some games this year for them, or they'll probably go and get depth, I'd imagine. They're probably going to be a playoff team, but probably borderline. We'll see. Next up here is Cincinnati.
Oh.
I think that's the highest rating we've seen.
Wow, yeah.
Bad progs for their stars, and Splash Stewart continues this trend of, safe bets becoming busts in the draft.
It looks like little boy is doing pretty good.
Yeah, Kyle Armstrong and Rhodes had their best progs.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, they're still going to be a good team. Oh, don't know what happened here. Really don't. How did he... I have no idea how he got like that.
Like what?
So his contract is set to $0. Was he a... I think it was a typo. Alright. So, Billy, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to put it at 1 mil, and I will let you talk with the mods and figure out what we're going to do about that. Cool. Next up here, Chicago. Progs hurt them a lot, not gonna lie. Mahorn and Brown going down, and literally everyone else except for James Harden and Dallas Hood, and they have most of their roster spots taken. Yeah, Chicago's in a rough spot.
Yo.
Charlotte. Yo. Is that Billy?
Yeah.
His contract is supposed to be at 0, remember?
Oh. Yep. Yes, Billy's contract is... this was due to the fact that we accidentally cut somebody. Yep, I remember. Billy, very crafty. Didn't expect you to use it on a guy making, sub $5 million, but smart on you. Yeah, alright.
I just wanted to put it to 0.
Super smart.
Yeah, so this is probably the best duo we've ever had in the league. And good progs from their bench, but they need to use their cap room, or they're going to miss out on a really good opportunity here. So
Sonic the Hedgehog and Lemonhead are going to be the best duo ever.
Probably not. They'll be the fastest, though. Alright, Carolina made some moves to become a real solid team this offseason.
Yeah.
How did those moves pay off? Well, I think their backcourt trio is great. I think that's actually a really good fit. Jake James at the point guard, Jeremy Walker at the shooting guard, Patrick Sullivan at the small forward. That's a great fit right there. They have a lot of options to start up front. I'd actually advise them to start Moon and Bodio, but they have a lot of different combinations they can roll with. I actually really like this team. I think it's a high PER team. We'll see what they do. And next up here is Cardiff. So Roger goes up. Hey, Charles. I was talking beforehand. I was a big Charles Adams Jr. fan. He goes up. Curry goes up. Henderson does go down on a pretty rough contract now. Neesmith and Renatus go up. And the bench of Cardiff getting decimated pretty hard.
I would like to point out that this team you see here was made within 3 years, of existing.
Yeah. Tokyo's also in a pretty good spot for a recent franchise.
Yeah. And this team almost made the finals.
Yes.
Which is shocking on itself.
I think that's what they're going to start as the person that is the GM of the team. Yeah. We shall see. The craziest thing about this team is the length of their contracts for their stars is quite sizable. So, yeah. All right. Next up here is Buenos Aires. George Gervin, Progs up. Honestly, he's probably one of the most valuable players in the league right now. 2 years left on his deal. Incredibly good deal. Incredibly high overall in his prime.
Oh my gosh.
Move him. He's worth so much right now. Do it.
I would blow this team up.
Well, that's the thing. Not only should they blow him up, they have some young, intriguing pieces, right? That, I suppose you'd probably move Glenn. They have some young pieces that have some value, right?
This is a top tier doo-doo team.
But
make use of it.
Gervin is worth so much. Like, you could probably get 4 or 5 first-round picks for Gervin, at least.
Damn.
Yeah. So, next up here, Boston.
Okay, I was about to say I'm going to trade for him, but no.
Coronavirus continues to go up. I had to look for him first. He continues to go up.
Shocking.
Yeah.
That's a bit shocking.
And
I would like to point out Matt Davis is up there, too.
Yeah, so Matt Davis and Mike Dowling,
3 M's.
and Mazin Higgins, they have a pretty solid team, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of Joe Small as well. He has a pretty decent build. Yeah, this team could be surprisingly solid next season. We'll see.
Should we give Davis a nickname, like Eminem or something?
Yeah, we can do that. I'm down. Oh, cap locks. There you go, Eminem Davis. Bosnia, oh my god. So, there's a franchise here.
Yay!
And somebody forgot to tell it that it sucked, because these might be one of the best progs. Hey look, Vassar might do something.
To think this team is still a 47 overall blows my mind.
And they got almost half the cap space possible. Yeah, that's honestly insane. Yeah.
Oh, we have some conspiracy theories going around that you rigged it so coronavirus would go up.
Oh yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Belgrade. Their bench got killed.
Yeah.
They're probably not a contender anymore. It's the unfortunate die of a team that had some potential. I would consider moving Litmus. He's going to be worth a decent amount to move on from. He's a solid player, but not a great player. He probably can't be the number one option on the team. He really, really tried in 2 years in Belgrade to be that number one option, but he's much better tool to be a number 2 or number 3. We'll see what goes on there. And Beijing, meh, progs. They had some really good prospect progs here. But as a whole, their team didn't get much better. It just didn't get much worse. They're kind of locked in by some. They're pretty locked into some pretty bad deals. Specifically T-Max. Oh man. Hey, that's an auto-generated name. Take that up with my man Dumb Matter there. All right, Atlanta. Peter Hill progs up big time. Reinhard Paul as well, and Otis Jocks. Honestly, Peter Hill is going to put up some crazy stats this year. Like, he's by far the best player on the team, and expect the stats to be quite right. And finally, Anaheim. Marcus Smart joins a cast. We'll see what their, they have a competent team, but they're probably not a deep team. We'll see what goes on there. And now we'll take a look at free agency.
Oh, wow.
All right, so Cedric Hurd had God Prog, and he's going to be a very requested free agent. So, yeah, the battle for Cedric Hurd shall begin. Bidding will start at $40 million. And we got some other pretty good progs as well. So we'll export the file here. Free agency will be due tomorrow at 5. And thanks for tuning in.